The wind has shifted in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not with a whisper, but with the roar of collapsing realities. Something ancient and powerful stirs behind the veil of time. The very fabric of the multiverse shudders beneath the weight of conflicting destinies, and at the heart of this chaos lies a mystery only whispered by the bravest of cosmic oracles. Avengers Doomsday, a title forged in ominous poetry, a harbinger of inevitability. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this. This isn't just another Marvel sequel. This is the moment where legacies clash and timelines bleed into one another, where gods, sorcerers, and technocrats race against fate, not to save the world, but to define which version of it deserves to survive. For months, the whispers grew louder. A veil was lifted when Forbes released a groundbreaking report detailing the monumental scope of Avengers Doomsday. The numbers alone stagger the imagination, pre-production costs that have already tripled those of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, with forecasts promising to soar even higher. We're talking hundreds of millions before cameras even rolled. But this isn't just about numbers. It's about ambition, vision, and the kind of raw creative power that only a studio on the edge of reinvention would dare to summon. At the heart of this cinematic behemoth is a single cryptic name: For All Time Productions. To the uninitiated, it's just another alias for a big-budget project. But to the seasoned fan, it's a siren call, a whisper from the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, whose motto, "For all time always," has become synonymous with the sacred burden of safeguarding the timeline. And that's our first major clue. This isn't just a battle across galaxies, it's a battle across time itself. If the multiverse saga had a pulse, this is where it quickens. This is where it gets personal. Marvel isn't just leaning into time travel as a gimmick. They're weaving it into the marrow of the story. From the depths of Loki's sacrifice, to the rise of Kang's totalitarian vision of timeline pruning, and now the unexpected pivot, Dr. Doom enters the game. Yes, you heard that right. And he's not coming in quietly. But let's rewind, because this isn't the Doom you think you know. Rumors have been blazing that Robert Downey Jr., the heartbeat of the Infinity Saga, returns, but not as Iron Man. No, in a twist worthy of Greek tragedy, he dons the mantle of Dr. Doom, a variant of Tony Stark from a timeline that was never meant to exist. A Tony whose genius became resentment. A Tony who watched the sacred timeline become a golden idol, while his own universe was left to rot under TVA indifference. This Doom isn't fueled by megalomania. He's fueled by betrayal, by the knowledge that his world was never meant to be saved. Imagine the emotional weight. A Tony Stark who never got to sacrifice himself for humanity, who never built an Iron Legion or mentored Spider-Man. A Tony who saw the TVA visit his universe only to erase it from existence. Now picture him harnessing Kang's own forbidden technology, merging it with sorcery that rivals Doctor Strange himself, and swearing to tear the TVA apart piece by piece. He's not trying to rule the multiverse, he's trying to free it, but he's not alone. Opposing him is a coalition of survivors, remnants, heroes dragged from fractured timelines, all converging on a single truth. Loki now holds the threads of the multiverse in his hands. Not metaphorically. Literally. After the events of Loki, Season 2, the god of mischief stands as the sole being preventing total collapse. The timelines flourish only because he endures. And now, both Doom and the Avengers are racing to reach him first. Why? Because if Loki falls, everything ends. Imagine the stakes. This isn't just a race for dominance, it's a cosmic tug-of-war with the soul of reality hanging in the balance. And it's beautifully poetic. In the original Avengers film, it was Tony Stark versus Loki, a battle of ego and ideology. Now we come full circle. But this time, the cost isn't just New York, it's all of existence. Even more haunting is the possibility that Doom is Tony Stark. That this war is, in the deepest sense, Loki versus himself. A final reckoning between two souls twisted by fate and reborn through sacrifice. Now, layer in the stunning revelation that both sides will use the TVA as their launching pad. The Avengers, perhaps guided by Mobius or even Doctor Strange, might use the quantum realm to leap through collapsing realities. Meanwhile, Doom, armed with stolen TVA tech, could begin reshaping existence to reflect his sense of justice. Think mirror dimension meets Inception, but on a universal scale. And the TVA? They're not in control anymore. The hunters have become the hunted, and their fall may be inevitable. Meanwhile, Deadpool and Wolverine lurk in the periphery. Wildcards drawn into this spiraling chaos by Agent Paradox, and a desperate TVA effort to recruit the greatest heroes of all time before the multiverse implodes. And somewhere, beneath the rubble of discarded timelines, a broken Kang still watches, waiting for the moment to strike. This isn't a movie. This is a reckoning. Where were you when Loki rewrote fate? It didn't happen with thunder, nor with the chaos he once embodied. It came in silence, an eternal stillness at the end of time, where destiny buckled beneath his will. A place where he who remains had sat alone for eons, now filled with the pulse of a lone Asgardian who had become more than a god of mischief. He became the weaver of timelines, the flame in the void. When we last saw Loki, his arms outstretched and glowing with divine power, he wasn't just holding together strands of time. He was becoming them. A living axis mundi, a force not of illusion, but of memory, sorrow, and hope. Every timeline that dared to exist now flickered in rhythm with his heartbeat. And this is where Avengers Doomsday begins. Far across the collapsing multiverse, on a fractured world where time loops like a serpent swallowing its tail, the air tastes metallic and heavy. Dr. Victor Von Doom, variant, warlord, Stark-shaped, and Fury-forged, studies a cracked schematic projected from Kang's stolen temporal crystal. His fingers twitch with genius, his eyes burn with grief. Once he had a world, a people, a future. Now, all dust, sacrificed at the altar of the sacred timeline. He had seen the pruning firsthand, watched as TVA agents, faceless behind their polished helmets, stormed his palace and labeled his timeline unworthy. His people, annihilated without trial. His technology, classified and confiscated. His legacy, erased with a click of a reset baton. But Doom remembered. And now, with a heart colder than his vibranium-enhanced armor and a mind sharper than Stark's ever was, he rebuilds, reverse engineering every scrap of Kang's tech, infusing it with the raw sorcery he learned from dark realms beyond comprehension, channeling his pain into purpose. He does not seek revenge, he seeks balance, and to do that, he must unmake the lie of the sacred timeline. And for that, he must unseat its last guardian, Loki. Meanwhile, in a room that exists outside time, an Ouroboros of memory and paradox, Mobius sits with fingers clasped, watching a hollow projection flicker through what remains of the TVA's chronomaps. Timelines burst like arteries, scattering chaos in veins of quantum data. There are thousands of variants now, heroes, villains, innocents, lost across dimensions. Loki's holding it together, he whispers. But not for long. The TVA isn't what it used to be. Its grand architecture is cracked, its commandments shaken, and its faith, once absolute in he who remains, is now a brittle myth. Yet Mobius still clings to something deeper. Hope. Not in the system, not even in the timelines, but in people. That's why he reaches across realities, seeking not weapons, but warriors. Not just to save the timelines, but to deserve them. He begins recruiting. The Avengers, or what's left of them, are scattered. Captain Marvel is lost in a collapsing pocket dimension where time runs backward. Sam Wilson struggles to rally new allies while mourning the ideals he once believed Steve Rogers passed on. Wong investigates forgotten tombs for spells that might stabilize the multiverse. But even his mystic prowess is stretched to the breaking point. And then, there's Peter Parker. No longer the wide-eyed teen from Queens. Peter has seen too much. Lost too much. The events of No Way Home still haunt him. A forgotten name, a vanished love, a loneliness deeper than space. When Mobius finds him, he's in hiding, alone, surrounded by photos he can't explain and memories that sting like phantom limbs. "I don't know who I am anymore," Peter mutters. Mobius responds with a half-smile. "Perfect. That means you're just like the rest of us." Back at the edge of time, Loki sits atop Yggdrasil reborn, an infinite root system glowing with temporal energy. His form is changed, No longer cloaked in mischief, he now wears armor laced with ancient Asgardian runes, fused with golden strands of reality itself. He no longer laughs. He barely sleeps. Every second he feels the strain, the pull of dead timelines, the screaming, echoes of worlds that shouldn't be. He feels the breath of those who remember him, Thor, Sylvie, even Odin, and he holds on, because to let go means oblivion. And then he feels it. A fracture. Sharp. Deliberate. Doom has made his first move. Across the cosmos, chaos unfolds. Entire realities collapse as Doom tests his newly hybridized tech, a monstrous convergence device that allows him to overwrite segments of one timeline with another. He's not destroying the multiverse. He's rewriting it. At first, the signs are subtle. A world where Wakanda never opened its borders. A version of New York ruled by Ultron, who never lost the Mind Stone. A reality where the X-Men exist, but serve Doom willingly, as peacekeepers of his temporal order. Loki watches, and he weeps. This isn't just a power grab. It's personal. Doom is carving reality in his image. But Doom is also smart. He knows he can't beat Loki head-on. So he sets traps in time, echoes of timelines that tempt Loki with better versions of himself. Worlds where he remained on Asgard, where Frigga lived, where Thor never called him a villain, and for the first time since becoming the multiverse's anchor. Loki hesitates. Meanwhile, Mobius's new Avengers begin to assemble. Not by duty, not by destiny, but because they refuse to let one man, no matter how wounded, no matter how brilliant, decide what the future looks like. There's something stirring in these heroes. A fire not seen since Thanos loomed over the cosmos. Peter, Parker, Wanda Maximoff, Sam Wilson, Kate Bishop, Shang-Chi, and perhaps even mutants, like Storm and Charles Xavier, drawn into the fray by the cosmic dissonance of Doom's incursions. They don't trust each other. Not yet. But they believe in something greater. That free will, even fractured across infinite timelines, is worth fighting for. And so, two empires rise. Doom's, forged in vengeance, calculated precision, and righteous fury. Loki's, sustained by pain, sacrifice, and a fading belief in the beauty of chaos. The storm brews. The race has begun. The timelines scream, and the multiverse watches, breathless. A storm doesn't warn the sea before it crashes into it. It builds in silence, pressurized, brooding, until the heavens crack wide open. And across the multiverse, that silence was gone. The first full incursion came without warning. It began with light too bright to be natural. Then came a low hum, as if existence itself were inhaling before the scream. In the outskirts of Reality 8611, a realm ruled by a peaceful Kree-Terran alliance, the stars began folding inward like a dying flower. Buildings dissolved into streams of code. Entire families vanished into ash, mid-meal, mid-sentence, mid-laugh, and, in their place, a new skyline rose, or rather, an old one. Familiar, stark, Latveria, a monument to Doom's pride, a bastion of structure imposed on chaos. The incursion wasn't destruction, it was replacement. A clean overwrite of one world with another, executed flawlessly. And Doom stood at the center, arms spread, cloak whipping in the winds of broken physics. "I don't erase," he whispered, voice echoing through the ether. "I improve, but this was only the beginning." Across existence, timelines began colliding like tectonic plates. Doom's incursion tech allowed him to surgically replace fractured realities with versions he deemed superior. Realities without war, without famine, without disobedience. In theory, utopia; in practice, tyranny. For in each better world Doom created, freedom was the first casualty. Every choice, every action, every future was dictated by Doom's vision of perfection. And with each incursion, Loki's grip weakened. The timelines bent under the weight of Doom's edits. Some snapped completely. The Yggdrasil roots, once glowing, vibrant, began to decay. Loki bled time from his nose like ink. His skin dulled, his memories blurred. He no longer remembered which version of himself held the knife to He Who Remains. The past and the present had begun to merge. He saw Sylvie. He saw Asgard. He saw Mobius on a jet ski, never ridden. He saw himself, crowned king, betrayed brother, frost giant, god of stories. 1,000 versions of Loki, each screaming in unison. He gripped the branches tighter. He refused to let go. Elsewhere, in the ruins of what was once a TVA time cell, Mobius met with a figure thought long gone. Stephen Strange. The doctor was older now, wearier, his cloak tattered, his hands steady, but burdened. After the incursions he witnessed in Multiverse of Madness, he had sworn never to tamper with timelines again. But this was different. What's happening isn't natural, Strange muttered. It's not entropy. It's theft. Doom isn't breaking timelines. He's conquering them. Mobius leaned forward. Can you stop it? Strange hesitated. I can't. But I know who might. He held up an ancient tome, glowing with sigils written, in languages that predated the universe, the Book of Eternity. It told of a place beyond the multiverse, a convergence point, a place where all realities eventually bleed together. Battleworld. And Doom's heading there, Strange said. Because once he reaches it, he can rewrite everything, permanently. Assembling a team was no longer enough. This was no longer about saving timelines. It was about surviving one last stand. Mobius, with the help of a now-scarred TVA and remnants of temporal agents, began opening waypoints across realities. Desperate alliances formed. Peter Parker, haunted and exhausted, found himself leading new versions of old allies. A Captain America who never lost Bucky, a Wanda Maximoff who never lost her children, a Thor who never let go of Loki. They were all broken. But together, they became something whole. Then came the twist no one saw coming. As Doom carved his way toward Battleworld, another presence began surfacing in the dying echoes of lost timelines. Not Kang, not Strange, not even another Loki, Tony Stark, but not Doom. Not a variant, the original. The one who died snapping his fingers on a battlefield of dust and blood. He wasn't resurrected. Not exactly. In a backup timeline, one hidden, away in a side fragment of reality indexed by Reed Richards and sealed by the TVA. Tony's mind had been preserved. A sentient echo, a final fail-safe, and now he had seen what Doom had become. The message played across the fractured remnants of the TVA. Hey, Tony began, smiling that lopsided, weary grin. So if you're seeing this, I'm either dead or ridiculously overachieving. Either way, congrats. But let's get to it. His tone changed. If Doom is me, some version of me, then you need to understand something. He's not crazy. He's brilliant. And he probably believes he's saving you. A pause. But he's wrong. And deep down, he knows it. That's why he's racing. Because if you find Loki first, if you stabilize the timelines, if you believe in each other, you win. You stop him. He leaned closer. Now go save the world, or at least give him hell. That recording, just a few minutes long, did more than any recruitment speech. It ignited a flame. Suddenly, every fragmented Avenger, every weary timeline refugee, every TVA agent with a broken baton remembered who they were. Heroes, they began, moving in unison, toward Battleworld, toward Loki, toward the end. And across the multiverse, a single phrase echoed in the minds of those who dared to hope. For all time. Always. The sky was no longer blue. It shimmered in broken reflections. Shards of every sky that had ever been. Purple storms danced with golden fissures. Gravity bent. Time staggered, and in the center of it all, Battleworld. A sprawling patchwork of realities stitched together by conquest and desperation. Doom's final canvas. A realm where entire timelines collided like warring nations, their histories overlapping like palimpsests. Ruins of Xandar bordered fragments of Wakanda. The Baxter Building floated above remnants of Asgard. Every clash of ideologies, every echo of lost civilizations, hummed beneath the surface. It was beautiful and terrifying. Loki stood at its heart, radiant and ravaged. His eyes glowed with the burden of a million branching destinies. His body trembled. He had held the multiverse together for as long as he could. But it was slipping. Each incursion, each overwrite, tore more of him away. Yet he did not fall. He waited. For them. The portal shimmered open. Peter stepped through first, battle-worn but unbowed. Wanda followed, her eyes determined, chaos magic crackling at her fingertips. Sam Wilson glided in next, his wings gleaming in the fractured light. Strange emerged with the Book of Eternity. And behind them came hundreds, variants, warriors, legends forgotten by their own worlds but remembered in this moment. Avengers reborn from the ashes of uncertainty. Together, they faced Doom. He was waiting. No armor now, no theatrics, just Doom, tired, furious, resolute. "You came," he said. Peter answered softly, "We always do." And for the first time, Doom hesitated. He looked at Wanda, at Sam, at Strange, at Peter. And finally, at Loki. "What you've built," Loki rasped, "isn't peace, it's silence. And silence is not life." "You would let chaos reign?" Doom demanded. "I would let choice reign," Loki replied. There were no final blows. No last-minute explosions or infinity-powered punches, only a choice. Doom looked down at the Book of Eternity in Strange's hands. At the last page, a blank slate, a timeline unclaimed. He reached out, paused, and turned away. With Doom's surrender, Battleworld began to unravel, not in destruction, but in transformation. The false stitches fell apart, and reality reknit itself, not as a single sacred timeline, not as fragmented chaos, but as something new. A true multiverse. Balanced. Sovereign. Free. Loki collapsed. Not in defeat, but in release. The Yggdrasil around him faded. Its branches took root across dimensions, not to be held by one hand, but nurtured by many. Mobius knelt beside him. "You did it," he said. Loki smiled weakly. "No, we did." In the years that followed, stories would be told across every universe, of the battle of all time, of the god who became a bridge, of the genius who became a tyrant, and then a man again, of the spider who refused to break, of the Avengers, who chose hope, and wherever you go in the multiverse, if you listen closely enough, you might still hear it, for all time, always, and now, it's your turn. If this journey moved you, if these stories spoke to your soul, if you believe in second chances, in redemption, in legacy, and in hope, like this video to support the work. Share it with someone who needs to remember that we can all be heroes. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss the next great story in the saga of the multiverse, because this story may be over, but the next one begins with you.